Hi again, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at depression. Okay, as NLP practitioners, hypnotists, coaches, we quite often are faced with clients that have depression. Depression is very common these days. Some 50 million prescriptions written last year alone for antidepressants. Okay. And it's on the rise, stress is on the rise, problems everywhere. So we have a problem with depression, but we can add a lot of value with depression. And here's a very simple tip that I learned a long time ago that I've used with many clients all over the world, and it really helps them. And it's as simple as this, okay? If we think about the human psyche, if we think about what happens as we get older, the experiences we face, some of the things that we come up against, we're born, okay, without any idea, perception, feelings, views, opinions and so forth. And I think if you look at Jung, Adler, you'll see that they call this baby the id, ID, let's call it the id, okay? But as that baby gets older, depending on who you listen to, the baby changes, okay, develops a mind of its own, has views, opinions, associations and so forth. And when it gets to 8 or 9 years old, Freud believes that actually things stop there as far as the baby's development, mental development is concerned. However, if you look at Jung or Adler or some of these other guys, they believe it continues to develop. But we all develop an ego of some description as we get older in life. I think we can accept that. And some of us will develop a superego, okay, which puts us in a category of kind of a most people that are highly successful are, you know, often have a superego and often have an insecure streak running through there somewhere. They appear very confident, they appear on top of their game, everybody looks at them and says, wow, how do they do that? But actually, there's an insecure vein running through them somewhere, and they will know it, and you will know it if you're one of those people watching this now. You'll identify with that. So if we then think about how we process information, how depressed people process information, we are a process of our thoughts, aren't we? Okay, so it's very easy to assume that if your mood is low, if you're unhappy, you suffer with depression, that your thinking is going to be low. Okay, so you're going to be thinking a lot about how you feel. Probably lost your confidence, and you're going to be thinking some quite negative and dark thoughts at times. But going back to that id, ego, super ego model for a moment, twice a day as human beings we go back to our id state, okay? We go back to our id state, and I always call that the power state or the theta brainwave state, okay? And when that occurs as you fall asleep at night, just as you're drifting into a sleep at night and first thing in the morning when you wake up. So literally, just as you're falling asleep and as you awaken, those first 20 or 30 seconds in the morning, last 10, 20, 30 seconds of an evening, you are entering the theta brainwave state. It's a very resourceful brainwave state, okay? And you are back to your id status at that point without all of those preconceptions, views, opinions and so forth. So if you can then force your thinking into a certain way as you drift off to sleep and first thing in the morning, you are free of all of those views, opinions, negative thoughts. So if you force your thinking, a good way to do it, a good tip for last thing at night, is to focus on all the positive things you've learned that day. And you'll have to force your thinking into that, because your thinking will take you somewhere else. Your internal dialogue will try and take you in another direction, but you say no, and you focus your thinking as you drift off to sleep on all the wonderful things you've learned that day. You might want to think about loved ones. Certainly first thing in the morning when you wake up. Again, as you awake, you'll notice that you're free from those feelings of depression. Force your thinking again during that theta brainwave state into something positive. What am I going to do today to make a difference to how I feel? Okay, so to summarise, we enter the theta brainwave state twice a day as we go to sleep, as we wake up. It's a very resourceful state, and we can make changes during that time. And people that actually really get this right can almost manifest their own day. They can almost make things happen that day, control their feelings in front of themselves by how they approach the morning mentally during the theta brainwave state. So try that. It's a great technique. I call it the power states, always have, used it with many clients, and at the end of the day it gets under people's thinking and forces them into another way of thinking which will help lift their mood. Okay, so look forward to seeing how you get on. Thanks for watching.